I'm the one most cherished by the mafia boss. We've been in love for 3 years, I'd give my life for him, and I've been through countless dangers by his side. Everyone believes I'll be his wife someday. Then, his first love got caught in a life-threatening situation, and he pushed me forward to take a bullet meant for her. He had no idea I was pregnant. That day, I was hit in the stomach, and the miscarriage left me bleeding heavily. For the first time, he, who's always so cold-blooded, broke down. He knelt on the ground, holding me, begging me not to die. He said he loved me. But the thing is, I don't love him. The man I truly loved was a cop. 5 years ago, the day before our wedding, that man died under his gun. In my 3rd year with Damien, he said he wanted to marry me. When I asked why, he said it was because I was obedient, sensible, just like his first love, Evelyn. I've always known that in Damien's heart, I was just a substitute. On those nights he missed Evelyn, he would press me beneath him, indulging in the passion, and when he was most moved, he'd make it difficult for me and coax me, "Baby, cry for me." He'd say that I looked most like her, with flushed cheeks and tears in my eyes. It seemed like he never really loved me at all. My friends would comfort me, saying that Damien didn't even talk about marriage when he was with Evelyn. But now, he's decided to marry me. They told me he loved me, he just didn't realize it himself. He'd make me breakfast, gently wake me up, and kiss me when I acted cute. Everyone thought I'd be his wife. For a while, I was the most celebrated woman in the North District. But then, right before our wedding, Damien and Evelyn crossed paths again. On that very day, I found out I was pregnant. But Damien no longer wanted me. The day he saw Evelyn again, she was in a club, entertaining clients for money. Word had it that her father's gambling addiction had ruined the family, so she had no choice but to work to pay off the debt. She followed a group of women into our private room, and when she saw Damien, she froze, lowering her head abruptly. She probably didn't want him to recognize her, but someone pushed her right into a seat next to him. Damien bit his cigarette, leaned back against me with his eyes closed, and cursed slowly, "Get the hell off me. Whoever messes with my wife's mood, I'll take care of them personally." The women around us cooed in envy, amazed by Damien's devotion to me. Evelyn clenched her fist, gripping her skirt tightly, casting a silent glance my way filled with jealousy and resentment. Suddenly, one of the women pulled her over and shouted, "Evelyn, the bosses want to see a striptease. You're good at it, go show them." The moment her name was said, everyone fell silent. Damien's eyes snapped open, and he tightened his grip on my hand, hard enough to hurt me. Feeling embarrassed, Evelyn trembled all over, ready to stand up and leave, but Damien blocked her, forcing her back into her seat. The next second, he grabbed her neck, pulling her face close, and spat out venomously, "Evelyn, didn't I tell you that if I ever saw you again, I'd kill you?" Everyone knew Evelyn had once been Damien's first love. They also knew their breakup was ugly. In the year Damien loved Evelyn the most, she had a fight with him, went off with another man, and slept with him. That year, Damien drank every day, to the point of stomach bleeding, almost dying. Afterward, he never mentioned Evelyn again. Everyone assumed he despised her. Somebody heckled, "Humiliating Evelyn, where's your man? Can't he afford to keep you? Do you have to sell yourself to support him?" The words were vile, and I couldn't help but frown and glare in their direction until they stopped laughing. I tugged on Damien's sleeve, trying to persuade him, "It's not easy for a girl to work to support her family. Don't make things hard for her, okay?" He looked at me coldly, his voice low. "My business with her is none of your concern." I froze, quietly letting go of his hand. Evelyn gave me a mocking smile, her gaze holding contempt. She reached out, touching the side of Damien's face, gently. Softly, she said, "Damien, don't marry a woman you don't love just because you miss me. It hurts me to see it." She bit her lip, large teardrops falling onto the back of Damien's hand. "Damien, I've always wanted to tell you, that day, when you saw me with that other man in bed. I'd been drugged." Damien's brow furrowed sharply. He slowly loosened his grip, and the anger from before disappeared without a trace. Evelyn took the opportunity to throw herself into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Damien didn't push her away. In truth, Evelyn's story was impossible to verify. That man had long since been tortured by Damien to the brink of death and disappeared who knows where. But Damien felt for her anyway. Without questioning its truth, he forgave her on the spot. In front of everyone, he gently stroked her hair, whispering to her, "Stop crying. I'll take you home." I heard someone whisper, "The boss and Evelyn are back together. What's Celia going to do?" "What else? She'll be tossed aside. His first love is back, the stand-ins got to step down." Damien heard it, too, but he didn't say a word. He used to spoil me, never letting anyone say a bad word about me. But now that the person he truly wanted to cherish had returned, he didn't care about me anymore. That night, Damien brought Evelyn back to our home. I trailed behind them, and as we were about to enter, Evelyn glanced back at me. She squeezed Damien's hand, smiling as she said, "Damien, let Miss Celia move out tomorrow. It's late tonight, and it wouldn't be safe for her to be out alone." She was eager to kick me out. I smiled at Evelyn, and in the next instant, pulled out a gun, pressing it to her head, and said calmly, "This isn't your place to speak." Evelyn's face went pale as she looked to Damien for help. He lit a cigarette, holding it between his teeth with a lazy grin as he pushed my gun down. He ruffled my hair, saying with a drawl, "I taught you to use a gun for self-defense, not for acting tough in front of me. Go home." He led Evelyn inside, leaving me standing alone at the door, like an abandoned child. I should have turned and walked away. But I couldn't. I have to marry Damien. I need to be good, obedient, shamelessly in love with him. I stood there for a while, swallowing down every emotion, then made my way back inside. Evelyn was already in a nightgown, a long dress of mine that fit her perfectly. She came over and apologized to me. "Sorry, Celia, I didn't mean to rush you out earlier. I heard from Damien that you saved his life. He's loyal to those who mean something to him, and so am I. Don't worry, you can stay here as long as you want. Damien and I will treat you like family, look after you for life." She pointed to a room and told me, "You can stay in that room. Make yourself at home here, no need to hold back." I chuckled, looking her up and down before slapping her across the face, snapping coldly, "Who do you think you are, telling me where to stay?" I shoved her aside and walked straight to the master bedroom, slamming the door shut. In the middle of the night, Damien came in. I stared out at the moon, asking quietly, "What, did you come to defend Evelyn?" He didn't say anything. He grabbed my collar, yanking me up. I glared at him fiercely, wanting to show him I wasn't one to be trifled with. But he found it amusing, laughing softly as he leaned down to kiss me, whispering, "I'm here to comfort my wife." Tears welled up in my eyes, and I bit down hard, breaking the skin of his lip. The taste of blood mingled between us, sharp and sweet. As he kissed me deeply, in the heat of the moment, he murmured in my ear, "Apologize to Evelyn. I don't like her crying all the time, it's not good for her eyes. Celia, be good, and while I'm in a good mood, don't make this hard for me." I chuckled, paused, and softly said, "All right." The news that Damien made me apologize to Evelyn spread quickly throughout the North District. He bought her an apartment, keeping her nearby. Everyone was saying he'd soon leave me. But I pretended not to hear and just continued playing the role of his dutiful fiancé. Our wedding was set for a month away, and I counted the days every night. Damien ran his fingers through my hair and asked softly, "Are you that eager to marry me?" I wrapped my arms around his neck and whispered in his ear, "It's been my lifelong wish." He smiled, producing a diamond ring from nowhere and slipping it onto my ring finger. "Happy birthday, fiancé," he said lazily. Today was my birthday, but Damien had other business and couldn't be with me. The gift he'd given me, though, was enough to keep me happy for a while. He'd reserved a table at a lakeside restaurant and invited a few friends to celebrate with me. But when I arrived, I saw Evelyn there. She came over, smiling, and asked softly, "Celia, you're not upset that I'm here, are you? Last time, Damien forced you to apologize to me." I told him it wasn't necessary, but he insisted, said he couldn't bear to see me hurt. "He put you in such a tough spot, and I feel bad for it. I actually like you a lot and really want to be friends. Can't we get along?" I looked at her quietly, saying nothing, just tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. The diamond ring caught the sunlight, glinting brightly. Evelyn froze, her eyes reddening. In a small voice, she asked, "Damien gave you a diamond ring?" I smiled, looking back at her. "I'm his fiancé. Who else would he give a diamond ring to, if not me?" Others began to gather around us, speaking up one by one. "Wow, sis. After everything you've been through with Damien, he's definitely kept it all in mind. I remember seeing that ring at an auction, it must have cost millions. The boss really cherishes you. Can we get a closer look at it?" Evelyn's face grew darker, and just as I was about to take off the ring to show everyone, she suddenly gave me a shove. I fell to the ground, and the ring flew from my hand, landing in the still lake. The impact was painful, and as I tried to get up, a sharp pain struck my stomach. Evelyn put on an alarmed look, crying as she apologized. "I'm so sorry, Celia. It was an accident. Don't worry, I'll tell Damien to get you an even bigger ring to replace it. He's always been generous with me, anything I ask for, he buys." I looked at her coldly and replied calmly, "There's no need. You dropped it, so go pick it up yourself." I grabbed her hair and pushed her toward the water. Evelyn shrieked for help, and the scene turned chaotic. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Damien!" At the sound of Damien's name, everyone fell silent. He was holding a bouquet of roses, likely planning to surprise me. Evelyn broke free from me, throwing herself into his arms and sobbing as she complained. "Damien, she threw away my necklace. The one my mom left me." Evelyn's necklace had probably just fallen into the grass nearby in all the chaos. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms, enduring the pain in my stomach. I said softly, "I didn't touch her necklace. But she threw our engagement ring into the lake. Damien, the ring you gave me is gone. I'll never find it again." Before I could finish, Damien cut me off coldly. "It's just a ring. Does it matter that much?" I froze, then suddenly laughed. "Damien, doesn't our engagement ring mean anything to you?" He stared at me and spoke slowly. "Celia, Evelyn's necklace was her mother's heirloom. Rings can be replaced." "Can an heirloom?" Damien threw the roses meant for me into the trash and said, "Celia, go find what you lost." Someone tried to speak up for me. "Boss, Celia seems unwell." Evelyn cut in, pretending to placate Damien. "Forget it, Damien. I know Celia hates me. As long as it makes her feel better, it's fine. She lost my mom's necklace, but I don't blame her. I'll find it myself. Please don't be too hard on her for my sake." Damien ignored her, his gaze softening as he looked at me. "What's wrong?" he asked. I forced a faint smile, shook my head, and said nothing was wrong. I turned and walked toward the grassy area along the lake. Early autumn was really chilly. At 2 in the morning, I finally found Evelyn's necklace and took it to her apartment. When the door opened, I saw Damien shirtless, droplets of water glistening on his toned muscles. Evelyn, in a revealing nightgown, grinned and said, "Damien and I just worked up a sweat. We just finished showering. Celia, please don't misunderstand, and don't be mad at Damien, okay? He's just trying not to hurt me, it's not meant to make things difficult for you." Damien looked over and saw that I was soaked through, shivering from the cold. He frowned and walked over, pulling me into his arms, to warm me with his body. Annoyed, he scolded me, "Would it kill you to just say something nice to me for once? Where's that playful charm of yours now?" I gently pushed him away and handed Evelyn her necklace. The damp jade Buddha rested in my palm as I smiled, a little bitterly, and said softly, "I don't feel like being sweet to you anymore, Damien. Your heart is cold as ice, I can't warm it, and I don't want to. I know you care about Evelyn and can't stand to see her sad. Here. Her necklace is back, go make her happy. And don't keep her in this apartment like some mistress. She deserves better than that. Give me 2 days, Mr. Damien. I'll be out of your villa soon." As I turned to leave, Damien grabbed my wrist, his voice frighteningly cold. "No wedding?" he asked. My eyes reddened, but I forced a smile, holding back tears. "Since you don't want to marry me, neither do I. It's for the best." I tried to pull my wrist free, but Damien's grip only tightened. In my frustration, I bit his hand, hard enough to draw blood. Damien cursed under his breath, then grabbed the back of my neck, pressing me against the wall. With a chilling tone in my ear, he whispered, "Who was it that said marrying me was her lifelong wish?" "Celia, was that all just hot air? But what am I supposed to do? I took you seriously." "You're trying to run now?" "Too late." That night, Damien left Evelyn and took me back to the villa. He pulled me into the bathroom, turned on the hot water, and cupped my chin, kissing me fiercely. It felt like a mix of punishment and apology. I fought back, stubbornly refusing to give in to him for the first time. In the end, Damien chuckled, frustrated, and said softly, "Celia, listen closely, no one will ever take me from you, not even Evelyn." He told me he only pitied Evelyn. It seemed, he really loved me. After that day, Damien grew distant from Evelyn. He came home every day to eat with me, chat, and take walks together. We lived like a regular married couple. People started saying that Damien had never been this patient with any woman before. Then, just before our wedding, Evelyn said she was leaving. It was Damien's birthday, and I'd been planning to tell him I was pregnant. But before I could, Evelyn interrupted. She came over with her suitcase and quietly said, "We promised to be together forever, but I don't think I can stay with you anymore. Celia hates me. As long as I'm around, she'll be unhappy, and it'll affect your relationship. I have to go. Thank her for me. Now that I won't be here, please have her take good care of you." Damien's face darkened, and he gritted his teeth as he asked, "Didn't we agree to be like family? I'd take care of you, remember? Celia is kind and understanding. She'll listen to me. Why do you have to leave?" Evelyn forced a smile, a single tear falling. Her voice trembled as she asked Damien, "Can you really see me as only family? Do you really forget all those times we hugged, kissed, and felt that sweetness?" Evelyn waited for Damien to respond, but he remained silent, saying nothing. Suddenly, Evelyn cried out, "I can't forget. I don't want to be just family to you, Damien. I still love you. How am I supposed to stay by your side, watching you marry and start a family with someone else? My heart feels like it's breaking, don't you know that?" she said, revealing the scars on her wrist. Sobbing, she shouted, "I have depression, Damien. If you don't love me, I'll die. But I know you don't care about me anymore." She finished speaking and turned to leave. Damien didn't hesitate, he chased after her. Outside, it was pouring rain. I stood by the window, calmly watching them as they disappeared into the downpour, tangled together. A wave of anxiety hit me hard. I had a gut feeling that if Damien left with Evelyn this time, he might truly never marry me. He might just never come back to me. I had to get him back, I needed him to come home to me. I ran out into the rain, desperate to find him. I don't know how long I'd been running when I saw Evelyn sitting in a corner, hugging her arms, with Damien crouched in front of her, holding her tenderly. Evelyn cried as she hit him, demanding, "Damien, you don't love me anymore, so why did you come after me? Don't you realize that coming to find me will hurt Celia? Why should she get everything? She's just my replacement, yet she's stolen everything from me. I have nothing left, Damien. No mother, no you, no home at all. I have nothing left." Damien let her vent, gently soothing her. "Don't hurt yourself. Calm down. I'm here. Evelyn, I'll stay by your side forever, never leaving you. If you need a home, I'll give you one. Anything Celia has, you'll have too. I'll give you more, and only for you. Is that enough?" I stared, dumbfounded, at this gentle side of Damien. Suddenly, he felt so far away. I didn't know what to do, how to keep him close, how to stop him from leaving. Evelyn clung to Damien, her gaze meeting mine over his shoulder, as if she were laughing. I heard her ask Damien, "You don't really love Celia, do you? You're just with her to get back at me, right?" Damien said nothing, and Evelyn pressed him, "Come on, say it. You don't love Celia. I'm the one you love, right? If you don't make me happy, I won't go back with you. I'll disappear for good, and you'll never find me again." Damien sighed, smiled a little, and appeased her helplessly, "Yes, you're right. I love you, okay? Evelyn, I still love you. Will you come home with me?" Evelyn pouted and teased, I don't believe you. Unless, you kiss me. She closed her eyes, waiting sweetly, and murmured, Damien, kiss me. For the first time, I lost my composure and shouted, Damien, don't. We're about to get married. Can't you spare just a bit of that tenderness for me? Damien looked back at me, startled. Evelyn leaned into him, smirking at me with satisfaction. Then, she started to cry, faking a breakdown, as she held a small knife to her neck. Damien, make her leave. Make Celia go away. I never want to see her again. If you don't want to lose me, tell her to get out. Tell her to leave forever. Damien nodded and turned to me, saying coldly, Evelyn's in a fragile state right now. I don't want her to be upset any further. Just, go. I trembled, holding back my tears, and said softly, Damien, there's something I want to tell you. I'm pregnant. Damien froze, and even Evelyn was stunned, staring at me in shock. I reached into my pocket for the crumpled pregnancy test, ready to show him, but then, out of nowhere, a gunshot rang out. Evelyn jumped and buried herself in Damien's arms, while Damien instinctively held her close. I was left there, trembling from the gunfire. Even though I had a gun, the sound of gunshots terrified me. I had been through life and death with Damien countless times, and he knew this. Before, he would cover my ears, teasingly calling me a coward. But now, the man who once shielded me was holding another woman in his arms, no longer concerned with me. Gunshots echoed again, and I clutched my head, wanting to crouch down, but a numb, stabbing pain began in my stomach. Blood spread across my white nightgown. Damien shouted my name, Celia. His voice was full of panic. He rushed to catch me, pressing his hands to the wound in my abdomen. He was crying, apologizing over and over, begging me not to die. I smiled at him, slowly pulling out the wrinkled pregnancy test that I'd carried with me all this time. Softly, I said, Damien, look, our baby. It's such a shame, we might never get to meet him. That night, I suffered severe blood loss from the miscarriage, on top of the gunshot wound. I was close to death. The doctor managed to pull me back from the edge, but I had to spend a long time in bed, delaying our wedding. The person who shot me? Apparently, he was an enemy of Evelyn's, seeking revenge. Damien and I had been staying at a villa in the mountains, where the walls were secured with electric fencing. But that night, the heavy rain caused a power outage, letting the intruder slip in. Evelyn claimed the man was an enemy her father made after going bankrupt, someone who had nothing to do with her. But the timing was suspiciously convenient. Convenient enough that it felt like Evelyn paid him to kill me. She held my hand, tearfully apologizing, I'm so sorry, Celia. It's all my fault. If Damien hadn't been so focused on protecting me and forgotten about you, you wouldn't have gotten hurt. Damien's voice cut her off harshly, shut up. Get out. Evelyn stood up, looking at him, biting her lip in hurt. Are you really sending me away, Damien? I have depression, you know. Don't you care about me anymore? Damien said nothing, his face expressionless as he turned and walked out of the room. He told Evelyn, come outside. I need to talk to you. Evelyn turned back to me with a smirk, challenging, Celia, I'm sick, and Damien won't let me leave. So don't hold it against him, okay? I'll come see you tomorrow. She hurried out after him, leaving the door wide open, making sure I could hear their conversation. Suddenly, a sound from outside caught my attention. I slowly opened my eyes to see Damien gripping Evelyn by the throat, pinning her against the wall. The veins on his arms bulged. I had never seen him this furious. He ground out through clenched teeth, you know exactly how that man got in. Evelyn, I tried to help you out of respect for the past, but you've gone too far. You listen to me, damn it. This life, the next life, and every life after that, I'll only ever love Celia. You wanted to die? Fine, I'll help you. Evelyn's eyes widened, tears streaming down her face as her skin turned red. She was losing strength, and someone nearby urged Damien, this is a hospital. It won't look good if people see. Damien took a deep breath and let go of her, letting her fall to the ground like a rag doll. She couldn't say anything, clutching his pant leg and shaking her head desperately. Someone glanced at Evelyn, then asked Damien cautiously, what do you want to do next? Damien smiled, though his eyes were icily cold. He looked over and asked, Evelyn killed my child and nearly killed my wife. What do you think should happen? The person looked into the hospital room and replied carefully, why not wait until Celia recovers, then handle things the way she wants? Damien bit down on a cigarette, saying nothing, which seemed to mean he agreed. I knew he could never truly let Evelyn die. Young, passionate love leaves a scar in your heart, lasting a lifetime. But thankfully, I didn't care. After the incident, Damien stayed by my side every day. He treated me like something precious, afraid I might break or melt in his hands. But it wasn't enough. He still hadn't given me what I truly wanted. I couldn't just say what I wanted. If I asked for too much, Damien would start to doubt me. I needed to keep provoking him, making him angry, making him jealous, pushing him to lose some of his rationality for me. I needed him to listen and obey. One ordinary morning, I decided to leave Damien. He had made breakfast and was bringing milk upstairs, ready to coax me out of bed, when he saw that I had already packed my bags. Damien's smile quickly faded as he patiently asked me what it meant. I took off the diamond ring that Evelyn had discarded, which Damien had painstakingly retrieved, and placed it on the table. I softly said, it doesn't mean anything. I just don't want you anymore, and I don't want to get married. Damien looked at me like I'd just told a joke, his lips curling coldly as he offered me the milk, ordering me to drink it. He lifted another hand, gripping the back of my neck a bit too tightly, smiling as he said, I really like the saying, fights at the head of the bed lead to making up at the foot. Celia, you need to behave and stop saying hurtful things that make me want to take advantage of you when you're upset. I suddenly pushed Damien away, and in the process, knocked over the milk cup he was holding. The glass shattered everywhere, but I didn't care. I charged out of the room. Seeing the glass cut my foot, Damien cursed under his breath, wrapped one arm around my waist, and threw me onto the bed. He gripped my neck and scolded me fiercely, Celia, you really need a lesson, don't you? I've explained countless times that I was just trying to stabilize Evelyn's emotions that night, going along with what she said. I've been so patient for so long, when will you get over this? What do you want me to do for you to believe that the one I love is you? I looked at him, smiled, and calmly replied, Damien, it's okay. I really don't care who you love. Honestly, I've never really loved you. Damien seemed frozen, staring at me intently. It was as if he were trying to see through me, to discern whether my words were true or false. Suddenly, he buried his face in my neck, his sharp canines almost piercing my skin. He was like a beast, marking his territory on his partner. Moments later, Damien leaned close to my ear, warning me, Celia, don't say things like you don't love me. It makes me sad. Remember, you promised to marry me and give me a home. I've fallen for you, and I'm serious about it. If you dare to back out, I'll really kill you. I stared at the blank ceiling, quietly listening to him. Where Damien couldn't see, I let out a small laugh. When I insisted on leaving, Damien imprisoned me in the villa, forbidding me to go anywhere. He had Evelyn brought in front of me without saying a word, leaving it to me to handle. Evelyn looked a bit thinner and messier than before, she must have been going through a rough time lately. But when she looked at me, her eyes still sparkled with jealousy and resentment, wishing I would just disappear. I knew Damien wouldn't let her suffer. Someone who has suffered doesn't act like that. Damien always reminisced about the past with Evelyn, giving her some false hope of rekindling their romance. I laughed coldly, standing before Evelyn, pulling out a gun and pressing it against her stomach, softly saying, you owe me 2 bullets. 1 bullet for me, and 1 for my child. Evelyn gritted her teeth, provoking me, Celia, you wouldn't dare shoot. You know, no one dares to touch me except Damien. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Damien lazily leaning on the couch, quietly watching me without speaking. Usually, at this moment, I should behave and wait for him to tell me if I dared to kill Evelyn. But I didn't want to listen anymore, I was tired of pretending. I suddenly pulled the trigger, startling everyone, even Damien leaned forward, almost rushing to me. The gun didn't actually go off, because I hadn't loaded any bullets. Evelyn's face turned pale, and the arrogance vanished from her eyes as she looked at me. She cried as she approached Damien, kneeling by his feet like a dog, looking utterly pitiful. I walked over at a leisurely pace, stepping on Evelyn's back with my foot, pushing her down in front of Damien. I stared at her terrified profile and said with a light laugh, "Don't cry. Right now, I didn't really want you dead, I was just playing with you, look how scared you got. I think you're really fun, so I'll keep you around for my entertainment. Evelyn, from now on, you'll get one bullet from me every day. Maybe it'll have bullets, maybe it won't, it all depends on my mood. To survive, you need to try harder to please me. If I'm in a good mood, maybe I won't want to kill you like Damien." I looked up and smiled at Damien, asking, "What do you think?" Evelyn, still crying, begged Damien, "Damien, don't agree with her, don't agree with her. She's gone mad. I'm so scared, Damien. You said you couldn't bear to see me scared, you said you'd be heartbroken. Do you really want to see me tortured to death by her?" Damien raised an eyebrow, and I guessed he was going to say something for Evelyn. Before he could speak, I gently rubbed my belly and whispered, "Damien, I've suffered so much for you in the past, I honestly don't even know what pain feels like anymore. You can't bear to see Evelyn hurt, so if you want me to take a bullet for her, I can, I really can. I'm just heartbroken for that little one inside me who so wants to call you Daddy." Damien's throat moved slightly as he held my face, treating it like a precious treasure, gently stroking it. He reassured me, "Celia, as long as you're happy, I'll agree to anything you want to do." Evelyn said I was crazy. Damien seemed to think so too. He brought in the best psychologist for me, saying I was ill. I felt a bit unwell lately, everything seemed to be going smoothly in the direction I envisioned. But I could sense that the force keeping me alive in my heart would come crashing down once all my wishes were fulfilled. On nights when Damien didn't come home, I took out an old photo I had secretly hidden and looked at it again and again. The man in the photo was just a silhouette, and I would never again have the chance to press my face against his back and say, "I love you." Lately, I often thought about the possibility that once everything was resolved, "Matthew, I'd come find you, okay?" I hugged the photo, unsure of when I fell asleep. When I woke up, I found the photo was gone. Evelyn was waiting for me by the bed. She looked a bit nervous and resentful as she stared at me. I made a gun gesture with my hand, squinting my eyes, and said softly, "Bang." Seeing her jump in fright made me chuckle. I waved her over to put breakfast and fruit on the bed, praising as I ate, "Today's grapes are so fresh, Evelyn, you should try them." Open wide. Evelyn clenched her fists tightly, humiliatingly closing her eyes, crouching in front of the bed and opening her mouth. I tossed a green grape and landed it perfectly in her mouth. "Is it good?" I asked. Evelyn looked down and gritted her teeth, saying it was good. Then she suddenly smiled, as if recalling something amusing. Looking up, with a gloating expression, she whispered, "Celia, eat more. You might not get to taste such delicious grapes again in the future." I raised an eyebrow, smiled, and said nothing. When Damien came home, I was rummaging through things in the bedroom. He stood silently behind me and suddenly spoke, "What are you looking for?" I paused, slowly turned around, took a deep breath, and replied nonchalantly, "Nothing important." Damien grabbed my arm and pulled me into his embrace. He stared intensely into my eyes, and after a moment, he gave a self-mocking smile. With a mix of anger and sadness, he asked, "Celia, you don't even bother lying to me, do you?" He raised his hand, holding the photo I had thrown away. In the photo, Matthew was leaving, and I was on the ground, clutching his leg, desperate to stop him from going, begging him not to go undercover in the North District. That was the prime of my youth, the best time of my life. That day, I should have fought with everything I had to keep him from leaving. I couldn't have known that once he left, he would never come back. Matthew's job didn't allow him to keep photos. This single photo was all I had to remember him by. It was taken by a friend of his who happened to be visiting. He laughed, joking that I was a shameless brat for throwing such a fit. Maybe I am a brat. I grew up in a corrupt orphanage where no one cared about me. I learned all the worst habits. I met Matthew when I was 16. I had just been kicked out of the orphanage and was wandering the streets. That day, I stole a loaf of bread from a convenience store and nervously ducked into an alley where Matthew happened to be smoking. I was ready to die that day. Before I did, I wanted one good meal. Those golden brown loaves of bread on display in the store, they were a taste of stolen happiness. I stuffed the whole thing in my mouth, almost splitting my cheeks. Matthew raised an eyebrow, watching me curiously. Through my laughter and tears, I wanted to tell him that this bread was delicious, really, it was so delicious. He took a drag on his cigarette, squinting at me, then turned to leave, leaving behind a faint scent of mint. I thought he was disgusted by me. That was fine, a lot of people found me disgusting. I slid down the wall, bit by bit, and forced myself to swallow the bread. I lowered my head, thinking about where I could die without frightening anyone. Lost in thought, suddenly, someone dropped a bag of food at my feet. I looked up. It was that same guy, the one smoking, looking so handsome. He told me his name was Matthew. My Matthew. The sun shone behind him, so bright I couldn't keep my eyes open. Matthew knelt in front of me, stubbed out his cigarette on the ground, and asked, "Little thief, what's your name?" I stared blankly at him and murmured, "My name is Xiao, Celia." He didn't mind the dirt on me, he reached out, ruffling my hair, teasing me, "Celia, give me a smile." That day, Matthew was an angel. I reached out to grab my photo, but Damien raised his arm higher. He gripped my throat, his voice fierce as he demanded, "Who's the guy in this photo?" Grinding his teeth, he practically spat out, "Celia, did you dare fall for someone else behind my back?" I cried as I looked back at him with a cold sneer. "Did I do it behind your back? I told you before, I never really loved you." "Oh, I see. So, you're allowed to have your unforgettable Evelyn, but I'm not allowed to have someone I can't forget. I'm being honest with you, being with you was just for fun. You were nothing more than a distraction. You don't measure up to him, not even close." Damien's fingers tightened around my neck, making it hard for me to breathe, but I forced myself to keep smiling. "Damien, you should either let me go, or kill me. Because I will never love you." Damien suddenly laughed. He released my throat, pulled me into his arms, holding me tight so I couldn't struggle. He leaned close to my ear and cursed harshly, "Celia, don't give me that bullshit. You cried for me, laughed for me, you would even risk your life for me, and now you're saying you don't love me? You think I'm a fool? Celia, you're sick, so I'll let it slide. But if you think you can just walk away, you're dreaming. This life, you're mine in life and in death." Damien tore my photo into pieces and threw them in my face. At that moment, his jealousy and fury reached their peak. Evelyn burst in, crashing right into the crossfire, screaming and crying, "Damien, she admitted it. She loves someone else. Why are you still keeping her around? Why are you so gentle with her, but you were so cruel to me? What am I to you? What am I? Celia, just die. If Damien won't kill you, I will." Evelyn raised a fruit knife and charged at me. Damien held me tight, and the knife sank into his shoulder. That stab severed Evelyn's last hope. A gunshot rang out, and Damien didn't even look back as he shot her. Evelyn fell, incredulous, and crawled toward him, leaving a long trail of blood. Damien ignored her, only holding me, whispering, "Celia, I'll never go soft on Evelyn again, okay? From now on, you're the only one I care about, alright? I love you. And you have to love me, too." I picked up every piece of the torn photo and took out some tape, trying to piece it back together. Matthew's back was now a fractured shadow, and I traced it over and over, tears slipping down my cheeks. I bit my lip, trying to hold back the pain, telling myself, "Celia, don't cry. Matthew told me once, Celia, you need to smile." After that day, Damien didn't come to see me for a long time. When he finally returned, he said he wanted to get married. He said the wedding would be in a chapel in the mountains, a place I loved. I'd once mentioned wanting a wedding there. Damien refused at the time, and his associates were also against it. That place was outside Damien's stronghold, and on our wedding day, all the top figures in his organization would attend. Gathering everyone there was risky. I never mentioned it again. But to make me happy, Damien was willing to take the risk. He sent people to scout the area around the chapel, arranging security. Getting Damien to let his guard down wasn't easy. This was the most I could do. On our wedding day, Damien forced me into a wedding dress, handed me a bouquet, and made me walk down the aisle to him. The pastor asked if I was willing to marry Damien. I kept a cold expression and said nothing. Damien's lashes lowered slightly, and he gave me a bittersweet smile. He cupped my face and leaned in to kiss me gently. He murmured softly, "Baby, just say yes, all right?" No sooner had he spoken than the sound of gunfire erupted. Someone yelled, "Fuck, it's the police, run." The church descended into chaos as a crowd of men surged forward to protect Damien, knocking me over in the process. Damien pulled out his gun, commanding the others, "Forget me. Protect my wife." People grabbed me, dragging me along as they fled. The mountainous terrain was rough, and I lost my shoes. My feet were bleeding, leaving a trail behind us. Someone urged Damien, "Damien, we can't keep Celia with us, her blood is giving us away." Damien kicked him aside, crouched down, tore strips of fabric from his clothes, and wrapped them around my wound. He held me close, constantly reassuring me, "Don't worry, Celia, don't be scared. I'm here. I won't leave you." He carried me on his back and told the others, "We'll split up. Don't follow me to your deaths." He really is a man of immense power. I finally understand why Damien's dark empire has been able to take root on this land like a malignant tumor for over a decade, impossible to fully eradicate. He's just that formidable. Even with me as a burden, he effortlessly shakes off the pursuing police. But I've waited so long for this, to capture every single one of them in one fell swoop and to end Damien's life. How could I let him escape so easily? I quietly loosen the bandages on my wound, leaving a faint trail of blood. It's only when Damien pulls us into an abandoned shack to hide that he notices the bandages he had firmly wrapped around my wound are gone. He frowns sharply, and in that moment, my heart leaps into my throat. He's so clever, I'm terrified he'll realize I'm an undercover agent and shoot me on the spot. I'm not afraid of dying. I just can't stand the thought of dying by his hand. That would be too humiliating. But Damien doesn't seem to think much of it. Silently, he rewraps my wound, then says with a pained look, "Such a beautiful leg, it might leave a scar now." "I'm sorry, darling. Are you scared?" Damien is too exhausted to run anymore. He just holds me, whispering softly, "It's all my fault. I hurt you so many times before, all because of Evelyn. What a shame. We could have had our own child. We could have lived a good life, for a lifetime." Suddenly, there's a noise outside. Two of Damien's men have arrived. Damien's influence has pulled in too many powerful people. The two men cast a resentful glance at me, then their eyes redden as they explain that the police perimeter is too tight to break through. Nearly all of their brothers are dead. As they speak, a team of officers has already arrived nearby. The two men stay outside to hold them off, urging Damien to go first. "No, I can't let this happen. It's getting dark. If Damien escapes now, letting a wolf return to the wild, capturing him next time will be nearly impossible." My hand slips beneath my thick skirt, where a small knife is strapped to my leg. I draw it quickly and plunge it into Damien's stomach. He was just taking off his coat, worried I might be cold, to drape it over my shoulders. Blood immediately stains his white shirt. He frowns and looks down at my hand, still holding the knife. Despite everything we've been through, Damien has never asked me to do anything that would draw blood. My hands have remained clean. Damien is the first person I've ever killed. He lifts his head, and suddenly, he laughs. "Why?" Blood rapidly spreads across his shirt, but he doesn't shout or pull a gun to kill me. He just gently grips my hand, holding back the pain, and asks again, "Celia, why?" Tears well up in my eyes as I ask him, "Do you remember Matthew? You killed him. You killed the man I loved, and you still dare ask why?" Damien pauses, nodding as if understanding something, and says, with a hint of sadness, "So, you came here for that man." I feel a little envious of him. He had a woman like you, willing to risk her life for him. But he was such a fool. He didn't know how to cherish you. If I were him, if I had met you sooner, I'd have spent my life with you. Forget being an undercover agent, or a crime lord, or even Damien. Hearing him insult Matthew, I snap, Damien, shut up. A fake pregnancy test was all it took to fool you. How smart could you really be? Damien doesn't know that my love for him was a lie, and my pregnancy was, too. Laughing through my tears, my hand presses the knife deeper, my voice shaking. Damien, it was all a lie. Everything was a lie. I waited so long, and finally, you're about to die. I want to see Damien break, to see the rage and regret on his face when he realizes he trusted the wrong person. But he just coughs up blood, his face still smiling. He reaches up to touch my face and says quietly, I can only blame myself for being blinded by lust. Celia, with so many women throwing themselves at me, why did I fall for you? I deserve this. Those police finally got something right. None of the male agents under my nose ever fooled me. None. Only you, Celia. From the moment I met you, I lost my senses. He rests his head lightly on my shoulder, coughing, and says, it's so cold, Celia. Don't push me away, all right? Can you hold me? With a cold expression, I pull the knife out and stab him again, straight into his heart. The day Damien died, I don't know why, but I fell unconscious. Something broke inside me, and I felt utterly exhausted. In my dream, I returned to the place where I first met Matthew. I crouched in a corner, secretly wondering how to die without scaring anyone. That handsome man with a cigarette leaned down and pressed 2 fingers to the corners of my mouth, lifting them up slightly. He coaxed me with a smile, Celia, give me a smile. And,